You guys have asked for it, and here it is. Our very first two-part series episode, unpacking regional area performance for all of Australia.
We are seeing signs of recovery in terms of market pressure, and the rate cuts will help Newcastle to regain some affordability.
Junge Ma, lead research analyst from InvestorKit, shares with us her in-depth knowledge on 18 regional areas in Australia and exactly how they're performing from a data analytics perspective. What are you seeing for Albury Wodonga?
We are seeing signs of improvement in market pressure, but
the ranking on the scoreboard, where's it sitting?
regional cities' average yield now should be higher than 4%. The annualized growth for Coffs Harbour is higher than 8%.
We're going to be unpacking what's hot, what you should be looking into further, and the regions at the bottom of the list that maybe you should be walking away from. 0.1%. What happened?
It is in this correction phase. As inventory has started declining, what's driving it is most likely the affordability. The rental yield is much better than the rest. It is still 4.9%. Moving forward, we do think the recovery is coming in maybe the coming year. Based on what we're seeing now,
This is one of the most comprehensive regional area reports we have ever put together on the show, which is one of the reasons it's going to span over 2 whole episodes. My name's Todd Sloan. You're listening to the Pizza and Property Podcast, and this is part 1 of our Australian regional analysis with property data expert Junge Ma. Junge Ma, backed by popular demand. How you going?
very good, thank you. Nice to be here again.
Well, it's lovely to have you back, and there's going to be a lot of people that are very happy that you are. According to our last episode with you, 27,000 of them are probably going to be very happy to see you. We did an episode, and rewind as well if you're keen, the episode with Jung, which was Data Analyst Reveals Best and Worst Areas for 2024. It was all about capital cities. The amount of direct messages, comments, just people reaching out. I even had some people finding my phone number and actually texting me directly. Can you please get Jung back on? And can we please do this over regional markets? The answer is yes, and it is happening now. So Jung, thank you so much. Now this one is going to be stretched over, I think, 2 episodes because it was way too much to pack into one. It's possibly even going to be 2 long episodes in itself. And following the same kind of format. So we're going basically, instead of state by state and then region by region, state by state and then capital city by capital city, it's going to be state, then regional towns.
Cities, yeah.
Okay. And what are the data points that we're going to be hitting on each of them so people know what they're in for?
It will be very similar to last time. We are covering median price, last 1 year price growth, last 1 year rental growth, and the current yield level. After the data points, we're gonna talk about what's driving the growth or what's dragging back the growth.
Love it.
And then will the growth or the stagnancy continue? And then what to be aware of investing there.
And something that I thought would be a fun addition is throwing in a bit of a scoreboard, something to watch over the episodes to be like, okay, out of all of these, because it's 18 towns, is that right?
Yes.
So 18 regional areas. If we're ranking these from like top pick to worst pick, we've got a scoreboard we can track along the way.
Cool.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but let's go with it.
We'll try.
All right. Well, Jung, why don't we start off with the first state? Where are we going?
First, the largest state, New South Wales.
New South Wales. Obviously, you're talking largest by population, not land area.
Right, population-wise. Then in New South Wales, I picked 5 cities. 5 cities.
Okay. And what's our first regional city to look at?
Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Yes. Newcastle, we start from the price. Currently, 860,000 as median price. Very similar to Melbourne, I think.
That does sound pretty similar.
Last 1 year price growth, 1.2%.
It's not really shooting the lights out, is it?
If you look at the price trend line over the past even 2 years, it's been quite flat.
Okay, so we've got 860 buy-in, 1.2% over the past year. What does you say over the past 2 years? About the same? About
the same, yeah. As of mid-June 2022, it was about 850K at the time.
Okay, I don't know Newey too well, but from what I understand, it's not exactly a high yielding area either.
No.
So you're about to share some yields that are maybe a bit average?
I do believe regional cities average yield now, I guess nationwide should be higher than 4%. But Newcastle is 3.8%.
3.8%. And that's the average yield.
Yeah, in Newcastle.
Can you tell me some good things about Newcastle? Because I feel like we've probably started this with a bit of a wet blanket. Like I don't.
Good news is we are seeing signs of recovery in terms of market pressure.
What signs? What are you seeing?
Yeah, we are seeing low inventory.
Yep.
Inventory now, it's actually around 2 months of stock.
That is pretty low.
Yeah, right. Much lower than many hotspot even.
Because, now forgive me if I got this wrong, 3 is when it's balanced. That's just good.
Right. Or 3 to 4.
3 to 4. Okay, so 2 is pretty low.
Yes, quite tight.
Okay. And so what's your take on Newcastle then as a regional centre moving forward?
Moving forward, we do think the recovery is coming in maybe the coming year. Yeah, I was talking about low inventory level. Other signs of recovery include the decrease in days on market, the decrease in vendor discount, and sales volume is gradually increasing. Not much, not really fast, but it is slowly going up. So yeah, all these signs are pointing towards a recovery, not in maybe in the coming months, but in 1 or 2 years, definitely.
So it sounds like as it sits now, Newcastle doesn't look like this amazing place with everything going for it as far as like the investment side of things. We're not talking like personal opinion on Newey, but as far as the direction that it's headed, it's looking good. And 3.8% gross rental yield. We've got 1.2% growth over there and a median of 860. When you say it's not the coming months, this is probably more the coming years. We're talking 1 year, 2 years, or is this in the same kind of boat as Melbourne where it's like?
I do think it's looking better than Melbourne.
Looking better than Melbourne, okay.
Yeah, the recovery should be sooner than Melbourne. Especially, I guess, in 2025, we are expecting rate cuts, right? It's likely.
Yep.
It's likely. And the rate cuts will help Newcastle to regain some affordability, which is, to me, is now preventing Newcastle from growth. With lower interest rates, the yield, the 3.8% yield in Newcastle won't look too bad for investors as well. So it might, with rate cuts, more investors could be attracted to Newcastle again.
Right. Okay. So as far as Newcastle's concerned, it's looking good in the medium sort of longer term. It's looking okay right now, not the best. Yep. As far as the ranking on the scoreboard of these 18 areas in total, where's it sitting? Newcastle,
I would say it's somewhere in the middle, around 9 out of 18.
I think that's exactly in the middle. Isn't
it? Yeah.
Okay, so 9 out of 18. So it's not the worst pick, it's not the best pick, it is literally the median pick. Okay. Anything else you want to say about Newcastle before we move on?
Newcastle, yeah, I guess that's it.
What's area number 2?
Area number 2, I think, easy to guess, Wollongong.
Wollongong,
yeah,
of course.
The other big city in New South Wales.
And how's Wollongong looking as far as median price growth or the?
It's more expensive than Newcastle, but it's growing better than Newcastle.
Okay.
So median price is 1.2 million. Last 1 year growth, much better, 8.1%. That's more than
heaps
average.
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why is that, you reckon?
I guess a combination of many things. Wollongong is also looking at tight inventory, 2.4 months. Vacancy rate is high there, meaning its housing demand is actually high.
Okay.
Local economy is good. Last year it was, I guess it hit the bottom point. It was 3%. It was a quite low.
So what was 3%?
Oh, right. Sorry.
Unemployment?
Yeah. Unemployment rate
was
3%. Last year
right.
was really low. What's different about Wollongong compared to Newcastle could be the overseas migration. So that healthy growth, I think it's driven by a combination of set of good trends. For example, the economy is quite strong in Wollongong. If we look at the unemployment rate, it was 3%, even lower than 3% last year.
Okay.
It's a really low level. And that was also the lowest level in more than a decade, ever since the early 2010s. Lots of job opportunities there. People are moving to Wollongong for work or living. It's not attracting people by affordability, obviously, but it's attracting people with its jobs.
Because that's what I'm thinking right now. Like Wollongong, median house price 1.2. What's Sydney's median house price at the moment? Like 1.4?
Sydney's, right, around there.
So it's not that much cheaper. Yeah, right. Didn't Wollongong used to have quite a lot more of a disparity between Sydney and Wollongong?
Yeah, there was, but I guess in recent years, Wollongong has
really caught up.
Yes, and I guess it's well facilitated now. Livability has increased a bit, quite a bit. So people won't mind living there with high house prices.
As far as yield's concerned, does that mean yield's pretty low?
Yeah, right. Lower than Newcastle's.
Yep. What are we looking at?
At this moment, 3.1%.
3.1. Okay.
It is, I believe it's close to many Sydney suburbs.
Okay. And if that's the median yield, so we're looking 1.2 million, around 8% growth, 8.1%, 3.1% yield, 2.4 as far as your inventory level score is concerned. So pretty tightly held market at the moment. Now, 8.1% growth over the last 12 months. That sounds pretty solid. What's your views looking forward though? Has it kind of had its time, or is it like, no, it's just getting warmed up?
It is, showing tightening, showing increasing market pressure now.
Okay.
So at least in the short term, the growth will continue. And I guess I need to expand on the increasing market pressure a bit.
Yeah. What is it that's driving that?
So inventory now 2.4, it's already low, but it is decreasing slightly ever since early 2024, it's been going down a bit. Then on the data market side, it is lower than the same time last year. Now it is at around 56, 57 days. It's quite a, not really low, but balanced. And it has shown this trend of going down.
I feel like if you compare that to a lot of Perth markets at the moment, that seems pretty high. But if you compare that to more like a normal market, that's
still quite a good one.
Exactly. Okay. All right. As far as the scoreboard's concerned, where's Wollongong sitting?
Wollongong, it is slightly higher than Newcastle.
Slightly higher?
Just by one place.
Okay. All right, so we're 10th position on the list.
Sorry, slightly higher, so it's 8.
Oh, 8, of course, yeah. This is golf, not football. All right, let's... All right, so it's number 8 on the list. All right, so 8. Do we have any more towns in New South Wales that we're going into?
Yes, we are moving to smaller cities. Next one I want to talk about is Wagga Wagga.
Wagga Wagga, love it. All right, what are we starting with Wagga Wagga?
Price level, it's much more affordable, 575k.
Way more affordable, 575. Okay. Population-wise, how big's Wagga? Is it like a big sort of smaller town, or is it more like a 15, 20,000 kind of?
It is not a small town. We would say 68,000 people there.
Okay, so really decent size. I went to Wagga for the first time earlier last year. It's actually a really nice little town. I quite enjoyed it. So if we're looking 575, so as far as prices are concerned, if that's the median, but it's a pretty solid number to get into.
Right.
What about growth and yield? Are they as attractive?
Growth, yes. It's actually grown better than Wollongong last year, 8.5%.
8.5%. Okay. So
quite healthy, right? And yield-wise, it's around the average level of regional cities, 4.3%.
4.3. Okay. I feel like that's actually not too bad right now. Like it's no Queensland or Perth kind of higher yields.
No, but in New South Wales, it's
comparatively.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about inventory levels?
Inventory level, Wagga Wagga's inventory, it's not as low as the previous 2 cities, but it is somewhat balanced.
Yeah, it so is. Like 3, 4.
It is 4.
4. Okay.
For now, and it has been decreasing or declining ever since early 2024. So it's peaked at the beginning of this year, and it's going down now. Is
this more of a owner-occ driven city, an investor driven city? Like what's kind of driving this? Because like 8.5% is decent growth.
Right. I believe it has a combination of home buyers and investors. What's driving it is most likely the affordability. With that price, I don't think it's heavily affected by the high interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
And also another driving factor is the local economy as well. Now, it has lots of job opportunities there. Let's have a look at the unemployment rate.
Mm-hmm.
For now, it is 2.5 as of March 2024. Again, it is not as Wollongong, which bottomed out last year.
Mm-hmm.
The 2.5% is actually the lowest point in more than a decade. So the local economy there is strengthening up.
Interesting. So my guess, Wagga Wagga is going to rank higher than Newcastle and Wollongong. I'm interested to see what your score actually is. But before we get to the score, is there anything else that you wanted to add into Wagga Wagga?
Yes.
Yeah.
Before we get into the ranking, I need to give you more context of how I'm ranking these.
Okay.
So basically, I'm ranking them by market pressure.
Okay.
And although Wagga Wagga's inventories has started declining, its days on market and vendor discount are actually still increasing. They're not. They're not catching up with the supply-demand relationship yet.
I might have made the wrong call then. Okay, let's see how we go.
But based on those two trends, I ranked it slightly lower than the other two.
Damn
By
it.
slightly, I mean just one place.
So what are we sitting at there? 10?
10, yes.
10. Okay. Interesting. So because days on market aren't as strong, and what was the other? And inventory?
Vendor discount.
Vendor discounting.
Yeah, they are not responding to the lowering inventory yet. So still increasing.
As far as the longer term though for Wagga Wagga, the next few years, you're seeing a pretty positive outlook?
Yes. In the short term, as we said, it's not growing that strong. The growth could be even slowing down a bit this year.
Okay.
But in the medium term, the growth will come back.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else in New South Wales? Like what's next on the list?
New South Wales, we have 2 more cities there.
2 more cities. Okay.
And now for the fourth one, we go back to the coastline. Coffs Harbour.
Coffs. Okay. Excellent.
It was such a hotspot during COVID.
Yeah, prices went crazy there. And I'm actually kind of surprised to see it on the list now. I thought Coffs would have been in one of those categories of like it's done its dash, but very interested to hear this.
Yeah, it did some really impressive growth 2 years ago. And since then, it has been declining and then flattened. But now we are seeing slightly increasing signs in its market pressure. That's why I'm adding it here. So we start from the data points.
What's our median house price?
790K as the median price.
780K.
Not affordable.
Yeah. Okay.
And as we said, didn't grow much in the past 2 years. So last 1 year growth was 0.1%.
0.1. Okay.
And even the rental prices didn't grow much, 1.7%.
And this is the past 12 months?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And the yield?
Yield is 4%.
Okay.
Surprisingly, it's not as low as we might think.
Yeah, that's not bad, really. But 0.1%, what happened?
It's the high inventory level, high supply relative to demand. I guess another thing is affordability. That price point compared to local income, it's not really affordable at all. Do you remember in InvestorKit we have this overvalue or undervalue calculation system?
Yeah.
Yeah, in that system it is 27% overvalued compared to the local income level.
So the growth that it experienced then over that 21-22 boom, was that more of a Sydney money coming up to Coffs, you reckon?
I would say so. That time, investors and people moving out of Sydney for sea change because of working from home trends.
Yep.
I guess everything working together. We're pushing all the coastal cities in New South Wales higher.
Okay, and inventory levels for Coffs, what are we looking at?
Inventory is now high. It is coming down a bit. The actual level is high. Last year it was above 6, close to 7. Now it's been down to 5 months of stock.
All right, so we've got 780,000 buy-in as a median, 0.1% growth over 12 months, 4% yield, 5% inventory. Talk to me about this, because it's not looking like this is going to be at the top of the list. This is probably going to be somewhere, a little bit further down. But is COFs looking like it's improving? It's going to get better over the next few years?
In the coming few years, I do believe it has bottomed out. Moving on, we would see recovery, but slow recovery.
Okay.
I guess a few reasons for the slow recovery. One is the still high inventory level. It will take some time for it to come down to a tight market. And then the other thing we're looking at is the really, really strong past 5-year growth since COVID. Now the annualized growth for Coffs Harbour is still higher than 8% over the last 10 years.
10 years, okay. All right, so when you look back far enough, it's doing good.
Okay. Over the long term, it's doing good. It's just in this correction phase. I would say at least in the coming 1 or 2 years, the growth could be slow. And moving forward in the medium term, we could be seeing further stronger recovery signs. But I guess we have to see it to be confident enough to say the next growth phase is coming, or the next strong growth cycle is coming.
So with that said, where are you putting it on the list?
Based on what we're saying now, it's the second worst.
So we're 17. Beautiful place, but I guess we're not ranking it on its loveliness. We're ranking it on its performance. Okay, and from everything that you've just gone through, I can see why you're putting it there. That makes sense. So there's one more town for New South Wales before we move on to the next state.
Right.
What town's that?
We are moving forward to Victoria, right? So I picked a town.
Oh, we're going to Victoria, sorry.
No, not really. We are moving towards it.
Oh, gotcha.
So we are moving to Albury-Wodonga.
I knew you were going to say that.
The border.
Okay, so Albury-Wodonga. So we're kind of segueing into Victoria as well, but this is just because Albury-Wodonga, 2 towns, but really 1 town. Yeah, they're
quite closely linked or connected with each other.
Yep.
Markets, cycle and everything are quite close.
Okay.
So we basically look at them as one market. Still affordable. 582.5.
582.5, very specific. Okay.
Yeah, still lower than 600.
And what about its 12-month growth?
12 months growth, not as good, 3.7%.
Okay.
Although I do think among 2 of them, Albury performed slightly better than Wodonga.
Albury is New South Wales, yeah?
Yeah, the New South Wales side.
Okay.
But on average, around 4% annual growth.
Any reason for that? Because if they kind of both beat us the same, what do you reckon it is that makes people go, nah, Albury?
I do think it's a bit similar to Coffs Harbour. It is the inventory or supply-demand relationship. It's increased a bit over the 2 years previously, and the market cycle. It has grown a lot over the last 10 years.
Okay.
Just came off the COVID peak, and it is in this correction phase to, I guess, rearrange supply and demand dynamic.
Yep.
So inventory, it has been increasing all the way from 2022 to the first quarter of 2024. Now it's just coming down from the peak of 4.5 months of stock. It's not a really tight supply level.
So it's sitting at 4.5 or coming down from 4.5?
Down from 4.5.
And what's it sitting at now?
Now 4.3.
4.3. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's just above balanced. And what about its yield?
Yield is not bad, 4.2%.
4.2%. Okay, so decent yield. So 4.2%. And 4.3 for inventory, 3.7 as far as its growth is concerned over the past 12 months. and 582.5 for a median price.
Yes.
And as far as looking into the future is concerned, what are you seeing for Albury Wodonga?
Yeah, we are seeing signs of improvement in market pressure.
Okay.
But again, very similar to Coffs Harbour, the recovery could be slow. Yeah, it's actually also very similar to Wagga Wagga because they are actually not too far from each other. We are just seeing this decrease in inventory from a high level, but at the same time, days on market is still going up. Vendor discount is still heightened. It's flatline now, but not decreasing yet. So based on those trends, we would say, yes, it is starting to recover the market pressure, but it is going slowly.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're looking at it with a positive light for the future, but not in the immediate future.
Not really.
And so as far as its growth's concerned, 3.7 over the past 12 months, not amazing, not bad. It's just kind of average. What was it like over the past 10 years average annual growth though?
Yeah, last 10-year average annualized, very high, 7.9%.
Is this the case of most of that happened 22, 23, 21 around there, and then it just made the average go up? Or has Albury Wodonga always kind of been a decent performer and then that was a bit of just an extra boost on top?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say before COVID, the growth was quite steady and quite healthy, but yeah, we can't deny the COVID really lifted growth a lot.
But it wasn't dead beforehand.
No, it was going up really steadily. From 2014 to 2020.
Okay.
The year the year before the COVID boom. Even without the COVID boom, the growth there would be good, very healthy. But it's just that COVID boom lifted the overall growth a lot. The other, besides the 10-year annualized growth, we also looked at the last 3-year growth, and Albury Wodonga's last 3-year annualized growth was more than 14%. You can really tell how much it grew during the COVID time.
Yeah, big time. Okay, but as far as the future growth, you're not saying it's over, but you're not saying it's happening quickly.
No. Yeah, in the short term, because of the relatively low pressure, we won't see really strong growth. But in the medium to long term, still good. I didn't comment on supply level in the long term for the previous cities, but we can start from Albury Wodonga. The supply level now in Albury Wodonga is still very much lower than it was 10 years ago. For example, in the last 12 months, there were around 3,000 new houses coming to the market for sale. But if we look at 10 years ago, it was close to 4,500. So that is
a massive difference.
A big drop.
Right. Okay. And is that one of the things that is giving you the confidence moving forward for the next few years?
Yeah, I do think it gives us confidence in the medium term. Yeah, when we are seeing sales volume quite similar to last 10 years, but supply level is much lower than last 10 years. We know growth will happen because overall the supply is much tighter.
All right. And as far as the score's concerned, this has got to be sitting better than Coffs. Whereabouts are we sitting on the leaderboard?
Yes, it is better than Coffs by 3 places, so 14.
Okay, so 14. All right, so we haven't cracked into the top 5 yet, but we're done for New South Wales as far as our regional visit.
Right.
What state are we off to next?
Yeah, now that we're at Wodonga, naturally Victoria.
And what regional town are we seeing in Victoria first?
Yeah, the biggest, Geelong.
Geelong, okay. Talk to me about Geelong. Median house price. Still pretty affordable, yeah?
Pretty affordable compared to Coffs Harbour or Melbourne. 680,000.
Okay, 680, yep.
Growth-wise, not looking good because there's no growth, but 2.2% decline over a year.
2.2% decline. Okay, and was this, I mean, I shouldn't sound too surprised. I know Victoria is getting a bit of a kick in the guts at the moment. So is this a bit of just this year? Like were the previous years pretty good, or this is pretty average for Geelong of the past few years?
Geelong performed really well during COVID, as many other regional cities. But the decline started in 2020. So over the past 2 years, there's really no growth.
Right. Okay. So we've got minus 2.2% in the past year, and it's not a new trend. Before COVID, it was going down. COVID just gave it a bit of a boost, or COVID boom. Have I understood you right there or not?
Geelong had a booming period before 2019.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it followed Melbourne's boom. Increased a lot from 2017 to 2019 in those 2 years.
On that then, did Geelong and Melbourne usually get tied together, or are they normally separate?
Geelong follows Melbourne. What we saw in the last boom, the one before COVID, 1 year lag between them. So Melbourne boomed first, Geelong followed. Melbourne stopped booming, and Geelong stopped booming a year later.
This reminds me of I can't remember who said it now, but money just moves around. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like, okay, money's done here. It's time to move over to Geelong now.
I do think they have that effect.
All right, so 2.2% in the minus. As far as yield's concerned, I know you're not going to say a massive yield. What's the yield?
It is even lower than Newcastle. It's 3.7%.
Ah, that's bad. Okay, 3.7% yield. So you're pretty negatively geared if you're holding in Geelong.
I guess.
Okay. And inventory levels?
Inventory levels in Geelong, it is now around 4.5 months of stock.
It's lower than I thought.
And it is very similar to Coffs Harbour, I believe. It is trending down since April 2024. So we are now actually seeing this early sign of recovery.
Okay, so early sign. So, and how early are we talking? Like, you're still looking at this going, it's years away?
I would say...
Like, if I just picked up the phone now and I was like, Jung, I just bought a place in Geelong, would you be going, too soon, Todd?
Yeah, I guess. I'm not too confident in the short term.
Okay.
Because the days on market is still going up quite strongly. But at the same time, vendor discount has stopped surging. So that one's a good sign. But I guess in the coming 1-2 years, growth might be so slow. So,
and it sounds like it's going to be kind of Melbourne dependent. If we don't see anything happen with Greater Melbourne, then
Geelong could, they could be quite thick together.
Is there anything else that you really wanted to open up about Geelong economically, performance-wise, before we give it the number on the scoreboard?
I guess I want to add one thing. Mm-hmm. It's still regarding supply and demand. Yeah, we were talking about declined supply over the long term when we talked about Albury and Wodonga. Mm-hmm. In Geelong, it's not happening. The supply level now for sale listings, it is quite similar to 2018 and is actually higher than 10 years ago. At the same time, demand, which is sales volume, mm-hmm. is less than 2018 level and very close to it was 10 years ago. That means the supply is actually looser now mm-hmm. than it was in the past decade. Looking at that, I would say that's one of the reasons we're not too confident in Geelong's short-term growth.
So if you had to pick a number, mm-hmm. I'm definitely putting you on the spot now. For the rest of the 2020s, would you say that Geelong's strength would still be in this decade? And it's like by like maybe 2026, 2027? Or is this kind of like, I know that we discussed on the Q&A with Arj a little while back that we had. Is it like it's too far out to look 10 years in the future, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I do think if we talk about the rest of the 2020s, mm-hmm. it's a bit far. Geelong, there could be some boosting factors coming mm-hmm. in. One is the rate cut, because I guess with Geelong's median price, it is still quite much more affordable than Greater Melbourne, and the rate cut could give it more. It could make this affordability stand out more. The other factor that could boost Geelong's housing demand is the population growth. As of last year, 2023, Geelong's population growth was around 2% per year. It's not the best, not as high as Perth, which is 3% more. But it's actually a really nice growth rate among regional cities. The local economy as well, it is much more improved from 10 years ago. Now the unemployment rate is around 4%. lower than the 5% balance level and much lower than the last 10-year average, which should be around 5 to 6. So yeah, population, economy, they could be playing as boosting factors for Geelong's demand. And once demand is improved, the extra supply couldn't be a much smaller issue for it.
So with all that said, where does it sit on the scoreboard?
For now, it is not looking really good. That's why it is only one place above Oreodonga.
Okay, so what was it?
13.
13. Better than I thought you were going to score it. Okay, so 13.
I guess this has factored in the strong population growth.
Okay, so that's one of the big keys that's making you go, nah, this isn't last on the list because there's a lot of people coming.
You're right.
Gotcha. Okay, so moving to the second Victorian regional town, where are we looking?
We are looking at Ballarat.
Ballarat, okay. And what's the median house price? What are we starting with?
Here we're coming to the affordable side. It is now 549,000.
549,000. We're talking real affordable. Ballarat, Geelong, Bendigo, to me, they're all kind of roughly in totally different directions, all that like hour-ish away from Melbourne. Okay, some a little bit further, some not,
right.
But as a rough. You were saying before that Geelong's pretty tied to Melbourne. Is Ballarat just as tied to Melbourne, or does it kind of like have its own self-sustaining thing going on?
Not really. It has, it's not really tied with Melbourne. Yeah, it has its own market cycles. Even in among Ballarat and Bendigo and Shepparton, these regional cities around Melbourne, they have their own cycles.
And so a 549 buy-in price as a median, what's the past 12 months looking like? The look on your face is not good.
Not really.
I've already drawn a minus here.
It declined 4.5%.
Whoa, okay, so even worse, 4.5%. All right, and a yield?
Yield is not too bad, 4.1%.
Okay, so 4.1, yeah, not too bad. And inventory level?
Yeah, inventory level is really high. It is now around 6 or even more than 6.
So far, out of everything you've said on the list, Ballarat is positioned the worst data-wise, isn't it?
Right. Remember the worst you said? Because it'll be useful when we rank it.
Okay. I think you just gave it away, but sure. All right. So, first thought is, wow, affordability, 549. That sounds great. Keep looking, and it's like yield 4.5. That's not too bad, but 4.5% minus. I'm reading my notes wrong. That's a 4.5% minus growth, not a yield.
Right.
Oh yeah. Okay. No, I take that back. 4.1% gross rental yield.
Right.
And a 6
months.
6 months inventory.
It's
okay.
Really high.
Yeah. All right. Do you have good things to talk about with Ballarat, or is this just going to be a bad news piece for a couple of minutes?
Two good things. One is the inventory. It's high, but we are seeing it declining in the first half of 2024.
I feel like you're being very positive if you're saying that the 6 months of inventory is very good. How much is it declining by?
It was close to 7 months at the beginning of 2024. So now at least it's declined.
Out of interest, and I don't know if you've got this in front of you, again, putting you on the spot, is this a more of investor-led, people just going, buying prices cheap, I can finally negotiate, I'm sick of competing with 50 billion people trying to buy in Perth? Like, is it more investors trying to get into Ballarat at the moment, or is it owner Ox going, finally, we can afford this?
To take a guess, I would say more owner-occupiers.
Okay.
I don't think investors would be interested in Ballarat so much now.
Yeah, the data's not saying they would be. Okay. All right, and what's so the inventory level is trending down, super high, but it is going down.
Down, yeah.
What's the other good news piece?
The other good news is the improving rental yield. Now it is 5.1%, but 2 years ago in 2022, at the peak of COVID boom, I believe, it was Around 3.5.
Wow.
So
big difference.
Over the past 2 years, it's been increasing.
So did you say 5.1? I think you said 4.1 for rental yield.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it should be 4.1.
4.1.
My mistake.
Okay, so 4.1 for rental yield, and it was 3.5 beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's getting better. And what about economically? Is Ballarat positioned pretty strong in that sense?
I would say it's recovered to the 2017, 2018 level. Yeah, I guess the strengthening is not as apparent or strong as the other cities like Wagga Wagga or Albury we were talking about. And now the unemployment rate is 4.3%. It's actually the same level as it was 10 years ago. And then also very similar to it was 2017, 2018. So it's not doing really bad.
Okay. So all in all, not good news for Ballarat, but there is some pieces of good news as far as the bad news trending away from continuing to get worse. It's going in the right direction. And economically, it's all right.
Right. And we are seeing pretty good population growth as well.
Okay.
Now it is around 1.9 to 2% annual growth. Yeah, it's been like that since 2015. So really strong population.
With Greater Melbourne being so affordable, is it not as much like intrastate migration? Because like is that one of the things that drives like your Ballarats, your Sheppartons, your Bendigos a lot of the time where it's like, what, Melbourne's getting too much now. We're going to move that bit further out. But now it's kind of like, well, Melbourne's not exactly on fire. So is it more interstate and overseas migration that's driving that population growth?
Internal migration wise, I really can't tell if they are from intrastate or interstate.
Okay.
The one thing we can tell is internal migration is actually improving over years. Since 2015, it's been actually trending up.
It's been trending up. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add into Ballarat before we go to the next Victorian town?
Yeah, Ballarat, it's, yes, as we said before, market pressure is not really looking good. Besides the high inventory, we're also seeing increasing days on market and increasing vendor discount.
What are the days on market?
Days on market now is over 90.
90?
Yeah, and it was 30-something 2 years ago.
Okay, so overnight. And what's the vendor discounting changing by?
Vendor discount is now close to 8%. And 2 years ago, at the peak, it was around 5.2%.
So if you want to just say you've got a bargain, Ballarat's probably the place to go.
I guess.
But you're going to be sitting on some stagnancy or potentially backwardsness for a while. Okay.
And another thing, I'm sorry, Ballarat. Another thing is we are seeing supply level going up.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was looking at Sebastopol the other day and I couldn't believe it. The amount of property for sale. I was actually just in bed lying with Bianca and realestate.com on the iPad and she was like, that can't be right. And we like overlaid it with Morphettvale, which is like one of the, I think it's the second largest suburb in the country. And there was like 10% for sale in like compared to Sebastopol. And that was just one area in Ballarat. We're not even talking like all of Ballarat.
right.
It was nuts, the amount of stock on market. And I have a feeling you're about to tell me is that getting worse?
Yeah, so far, what we're seeing is, for sale listings is still increasing, while sales demand is just flatlined, not really improving. And if we look at long term, now the gap between for sale listings and sales volume is actually larger than 10 years ago, or the average level of last decade.
Sorry, Ballarat, but I've got a feeling one last bit of bad news is coming. I don't even want to ask. This has got to be 18th on the list. Is it last?
Right.
This last, yeah. Okay, so 18th, last on the list, Ballarat in Victoria. I know things are only going to look better from here because that was the last on the list. What's our next Victorian town?
Bendigo.
Bendigo?
Yeah.
What are we looking at for a median house price?
Similar to Ballarat, 555.
555. All right. And are all of our regional Victorian towns like sort of pretty similar? Looks like Geelong's the most expensive so far.
Right. And all the others are quite affordable, at least to I guess people from capital cities.
Do you reckon much of that's got to do with Geelong being Like
close to Melbourne.
Well, I was going to say also the coastal side of things.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Have a lot of like maybe higher end coastal properties, like boosting that up as well, and just it's always more attractive.
Right. Yeah. And if we look at coastal cities like Warrnambool, it's also more expensive than the inland.
All right, but anyway, so I digress. Back Bendigo, so 555,000 as a median. What are we looking at as far as 12-month average growth?
Yeah, it also declined from last year by just 1.3%.
So minus 1.3%. Okay, I got some friends that sold in Bendigo about 2 years ago. They thought they were making a bad choice. Maybe they were probably looking back with a pretty happy smile now.
Right, because really, since mid-2022, it only grew a bit and then started declining.
And average yield?
Average yield is 4.3%.
4.3%? Okay. So far the highest yields out of the Victorian regional towns.
Right.
Inventory level?
Inventory level in Bendigo is better than Ballarat.
Okay. Well, I don't think that's hard.
It is at least a relatively balanced.
Yeah.
Not that good because it is still higher than 4. It is now around 4.8.
4.8. Okay, so better than Ballarat, but not like a standout on its own.
And very similar to the other regional Victorian cities, it started to go down now. It's
like it's trending in the right direction, but everything else as far as the data is concerned for all of these Victorian cities aren't showing that it's trending in that direction very quickly.
No. No, for example, Bendigo, we are seeing the days on market peaked. It just peaked last month. We need more months to see if this decline would continue. And vendor discount is actually also going down a bit, but slowly.
All right, so vendor discounts going down, but slowly. We've got our days on market have peaked in Bendigo. What about economically? How's Bendigo just positioned overall?
The improvement here is more, can I say pronounced, than Ballarat. Because now the unemployment rate, we're only looking at unemployment rate, is actually the lowest point in not only 2 years, but over the whole decade previously. It is around 3%. Quite a healthy level.
And as far as that longer term picture for Bendigo, if you were to pick one out of these three so far, it's sounding like this is probably going to be the higher on the list?
I believe so, yeah. Not only because of the declining vendor discounts or the declining unemployment rate, also the supply level in Bendigo is actually declining compared to its demand level.
Okay.
Yeah, that one factor is better than Geelong or Ballarat.
So with that said, where are we sitting on the list?
If we rank it from 1 to 18, it's not really high, but higher than Ballarat, 15.
15. Okay, so Geelong is still beating it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Why is that? What is it about Geelong then that is more attractive than Bendigo, or the other way around? What's less attractive than Bendigo?
I guess, yes, overall, Bendigo's market pressure is still lower than Geelong, at least in the short term. Bendigo and Geelong, they are really quite close to each other. Both not doing that well. The only reason why I put Geelong ahead of Bendigo is because of the strong population growth. Okay,
so more people are looking like they're going to Geelong than Bendigo when we're putting them side by side.
I would say.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And that's why Geelong's looking at a 13 and Bendigo's a 15 as far as its ranking is concerned.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Are we done in Victoria or is there more?
Oh, there's one more
city.
More. Yeah, just one more.
What's our lucky last?
It is Shepparton.
Shepparton. All right. How are we looking for Shepparton? What's a median?
Shepparton median is it's more affordable than the other cities. It is still under 500, 480.
480. Well, that's well under. Okay, so 480,000. So Shepparton, population-wise, how big is Shepparton again? Because it's not the same kind of size, is it?
Yeah, it is 69,000.
69,000. Okay.
Shall we try Bendigo?
Because Bendigo's over 100, isn't it?
124.
Yeah. I thought so. So it's not quite half the size, but almost. Okay, but still a decent sized town. We're talking Wagga sort of size.
Right.
Yeah. All right. And what are we looking at over the past 12 months?
It has grown. Not really impressive, 4.2%.
It feels really impressive in contrast to Ballarat and Geelong.
Others, yeah.
Okay. All right. So 4.2% growth over the past 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as our yield net inventory?
Yeah, rental yield is much better than the rest. It is still 4.9%.
4.9%. All right. This is all looking good. And what's the inventory?
Inventory level in Shepparton is close to Bendigo, actually, around 4.7, 4.8.
4.7, 4.8. Let's round up and go 4.8. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you're about to tell me a much better story and round it out with a bit more positivity for Victoria with Shepparton. What are we looking at overall?
Overall, to be honest, Shepparton is also losing its pressure a bit.
Oh, I spoke too soon, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, trends are quite similar with the Bendigo. For example, days on market is still increasing. Vendor discount is increasing.
What's caused this bumper year then in comparison? Like +4 versus like minus percentages?
Two things possible. One is market cycle. Shepparton could just peaked a bit later than Bendigo. Okay. And so it grew longer than Bendigo before it the current growth cycle finishes.
Mm-hmm.
And the other possible reason could be in affordability.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess lower price sustained it a bit longer in this current growth cycle. Yeah, but now we are seeing increasing supply level while demand level is or sales volume is not increasing as fast as the supply level.
Good picture on the face of it, but still not a great picture looking forward.
Not really. We're not looking at really strong growth in the coming year.
Okay, but affordability, reasonable rental yield. You're not going to have much competition if you're buying in Shepparton at the moment, but if you're parking your money somewhere you want it to grow with naturally, you're listening to this show, so you do. Shepparton might not be the regional town to do.
Yeah, not for short-term growth.
Okay, all right. Whereabouts does this sit on our leaderboard?
Yeah, not really surprising. It is very close to the others at 12.
At 12, okay. So, but it's still top of the pack then, I guess.
Right. Among all Victorian cities, it is the highest.
Okay, so the first 9 regional towns on this Australia-wide tour, we haven't even cracked past the top 8. I don't know if you're saving best for last or if this is just how it's kind of unfolding. So everything from New South Wales. So Wollongong's at the 8th place and then Ballarat is at 18th. Mm-hmm. So 8th we haven't broken past yet. And 18th, well, that's the worst on the list. Everything else in between is kind of, well, it's between 8 and 18. But this next episode, we're going to be unpacking more of the top 5 and everything else that's there. Now, we're looking at a mixture of
Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia, and Tasmania.
Absolutely. Make sure if you want to follow along to this, hit that subscribe button below if you're not already subscribed and click that notification bell. So when the episode actually does come out, you'll have it sent straight to you. But Junge Ma from InvestorKit, I'm not going to do the normal outro because we're about to jump on another episode with each other very soon. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in 15 seconds, but everyone else about a week later. Thank you, Chung.
Thank you, Todd.